when things like this happen that are not in your control, you have two options. Option number one, you can crawl up in the bed, you can pull the covers, you can close the drapes, and you can turn out the lights. Or you can take a deep breath and decide, how am I gonna come out of this? We are gonna get this thing started. How y'all doing today? Yes. Has this been amazing or what? Yes. Yes, but we are gonna have a great conversation tonight talking about going from setbacks to success. And if you are going to be an entrepreneur, you have got to know how to overcome challenges, obstacles, and barriers to continually grow your business. And so every time someone tells me they want to be an entrepreneur, or they are an entrepreneur and they really are ready to grow their business, I always say there is one question that every entrepreneur must ask themselves. Anybody know what that question is? Are you ready? How will I respond when I face challenges in my business? Have you ever saw someone on stage or met someone who was doing really well in business and you felt like you must be missing something because it's not necessarily working for you the way you want it to work? And it seems like that person over there is growing and getting clients, and that company over there is getting their proposals approved and getting those contracts. Well, what I will tell you is that there are not many guarantees in business, but there is one absolute guarantee, that for every person you see that you deem successful, every person you see that you say, wow, they are really doing it, like what is missing in me? I can tell you, I can guarantee it, that your business and their business will experience a challenge that has the potential to absolutely take you out. I'm talking about a setback where a client decided not to work with you. I'm not talking about a setback where the proposal wasn't approved. I'm talking about something that literally can knock you and your business to your knees. I can guarantee it. If it hasn't happened yet, guess what? It's coming. Because that is the road of entrepreneurship. And so that is what we're going to talk about over these next few minutes, is how can you bounce back, how can you be resilient when the guaranteed setback is going to come. Now, really quickly, I know Lamar shared a little bit of my background, but just a little bit of who I am. In addition to the Director of Operations for TSP, which I absolutely love, 100%. I'm also an entrepreneur. I founded the Radical Success Institute in 2008, and for 6 years I had one of the largest women's conferences on the East Coast, and it was phenomenal, and I help people get radical. I'm also the founder of the Society of Life Coaches, where we train life coaches to be their best, and I also come from a corporate background. I was an HR executive for over 15 years, and that taught me that people are funny. I know employees try to blame HR for everything, but let me tell you, employees are interesting, and it was there that I became really interested in how is it that people fail to take responsibility for their own success and continually look to other things or entities to give them the satisfaction that they should be creating for themselves. And so in addition to that, with Steve Harvey and now with TSP, and as a life and business coach. So, what are the barriers that you have the potential to face in your business? There are 3 types. And so what I want to know is, who has had a business challenge and overcame it? Who is currently in a business challenge and trying to figure out how to overcome it? And who just came out of a business challenge and you just feeling a little bit of relief? Yes. Somebody, everybody in this room is in one of those 3 categories. And there's really only 3 reasons that your business has a challenge. And if you understand these 3 reasons, then you have the ability to decide how you want to approach the response. So let's talk about the first reason. The first type of business challenge that entrepreneurs have is a challenge that is not in your control. And when things are not in your control, it is extra frustrating. And I will tell you that I know exactly what it feels like to have a challenge or a setback that is not in your control. About maybe 14, 15 years ago, when my business was growing, my Radical Institute was growing, I got excited because I connected with a big brand. This brand was huge. This person was all over television. This person had an incredible following, had an incredible brand, and we connected. And for over a year, building that relationship, we finally created a deal. And the deal was my company would create the back end, run the operations for a course that this brand wanted to produce and sell to her audience. And then she would be the front of the business, doing the course, doing all the things, doing the calls. And this brand was a television star. This brand, she didn't come out of the coaching world. And so how many of you understand how pumped I was? Now, the deal was, from a money perspective, she had the brand, which, what do you guys think that means? When it comes to the money part of the deal, she has the brand. What do you think that means?
She's bringing no money.
She wasn't putting up no money because she was huge at this time. But I'm like, no problem. I know if there's one thing Doreen Rainey knows how to do is launch a course. So I'm like, I got you. Our lawyers worked on this deal for almost 2 months. Got the deal done, put everything in place. We hired the launch team, wrote the scripts, got the dates and the shoots and the video, hair, makeup, craft services, flew to San Diego, where we were going to shoot this course and get this thing moving. The day before the course, the day before the shoot, guess what? She pulled out. She pulled out. And Nikki, were you there? Nikki was there. Nikki was there. It was bad. We did everything to try to save that deal, but you cannot save a deal that people are not interested in saving. And totally out of my control. Guess how much I lost? $200,000. So, of course, I call my lawyer, we do all the things, but here's the deal. She has exponentially more money than I have. So yeah, we can fight it, but the truth is, you're gonna lose even if you win. And so when things like this happen that are not in your control, you have 2 options. Option number 1, you can crawl up in the bed, you can pull the covers, you can close the drapes, and you can turn out the lights. Or you can take a deep breath and decide, how am I gonna come out of this? So which one is the choice? Which one did I choose? I crawled in the bed, pulled the covers, closed the shades, and turned out the lights. For days. I flew back home. I didn't want to talk to nobody. A couple of days went by. My husband, tap, tap, tap. You coming out the bed today? No, I am not. And it took me a while to recover, but I had community. Say community. Community. I had people like Nikki who was like, we got to figure this thing out. And they asked me a great question because I was done. They were like, do you need a break? Do you need a sabbatical? Or are you going back to 9 to 5? If you need a break, take up a couple of weeks, let's get together. If you need a sabbatical, step away, come back. If you need to go get a 9 to 5, get your resume together. I was so pissed. I got my resume together. I was so done. And I actually went to a final interview for a job, and my husband told me, the first time they tell you you got to be back from lunch at a certain time, you're going to be out. So I decided I just need a break. And so I sucked it up. It took me a minute to recover financially, but I was like, okay, lessons learned for the next time, because there's going to be another big deal, there's going to be another big opportunity. And as I was coming out of that, getting myself back together, that's when I got a text from a mentor of mine that said, hey, I don't know if you're interested. I know you're a little funky right now, but I have another brand that I think you can do well with. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know about these celebrities. I just don't know. And she's like, well, let's take a meeting. She wouldn't tell me who it was. Took a meeting with her, took a meeting with somebody he works with, and that's when she said it was Steve Harvey. And that was my next big brand opportunity. I did 5 years with him, act like a success. He built a 7-figure platform. So sometimes you have a setback that's not in your control. But you have to know that, yes, take your moment. I'm down for a pity party. I'm just not down for an extended pity party. But I was mad, you get mad, we get frustrated. It's okay to express those feelings. So that's the first thing. It's not in your control. The second type of barrier is a barrier that is completely 100% in your control. And actually, this happens more times than the first one. And the way you can tell if the reason you are challenged in your business, the reason things aren't going the way you want it to go, the reason why the launch didn't work, the reason why the deal didn't close, the reason why the clients didn't renew, if you're going through all of that right now, this could be because you are doing something that is completely in your control. And that thing is that you don't do all the things. Ooh, it got quiet. You don't do all the things. I was talking to somebody a couple of months ago, and they were asking me about launching a new course. This was somebody that was a big brand, had a nice platform, and they were a speaker but wanted to do a course. They wanted to launch a course. And so I have a template of a project plan for launching a course. And I sent it to him to say, well, if you're interested, this is what it looks like. Guess how many tasks were on the project plan? 5, 10, 3, 30. How many? 125. How many? 1. 332 tasks. If you want to launch, if you want to do what you say you told me you want to do, this is what it looks like. And so when Jamal stands on stage and said, these are all the things you have to do to launch your business. When Ronnie, who works with people on their project plan, said, this is what the plan looks like, these are all the steps. And then you decide, well, we don't really need to send 10 emails. We could send 6. And then you decide, well, we don't have to post every day. I could probably get away with posting every other day. Well, I know they said that I should get a VA or get some support, but I can do it all myself. And then we wonder why it didn't work. And so the first thing you have to ask yourself is, did I really do all the things? And you cannot answer that question if you don't even know what all the things are. That's why things like the mastermind matter, so you can understand what are all the things. And it is a conscious choice, whether it is fear, overwhelm, procrastination, don't want to be judged, don't want to put yourself out there. If you want to exponentially grow your business, you have got to find a way to get over it. You've got to find a way to get over it. And if you got to work on it, coach, therapy, work on it while you're finding a way to get over it. You can do two things together. But when you are not doing all the things, your business barrier belongs to you. And then, of course, the third type of barrier are external factors. If anyone does a SWOT analysis, these are what the threats are that are more of a global aspect, a bigger aspect than what's going on in your particular business. It could be something in your industry, it could be something in the world, and it typically looks like some type of change. Changes in technology, AI. I mean, Lamar says all the time, when AI first came out, all the copywriters were nervous, but everybody else felt good until all them headshots started coming out. And then it was like, well, maybe the graphic artists are in trouble. Technology changes, AI changes, regulations in your industry, and of course, politics. All of those things can create a barrier in your business. And you have to decide, how am I going to overcome it? And so with this, you've really got two options. So when you think about barriers that are not in your control, barriers that are in your control, and barriers that are global or outside of your total ability to manage, you've got to make two choices. And as an entrepreneur, I suggest you make the choice today. It will save you so much drama. So if you are an entrepreneur and you know you're going to face a barrier, here are your two choices. Choice number one, close your doors. If you're not willing to figure out a way, find a way, work on yourself, be uncomfortable, take a risk, get in community, learn, grow, then I'm telling you, it's so much easier to just close your doors. The other option is that you can figure out the pivot, the adjustment, the change you need to make so that you can overcome and ultimately thrive. So let's take a vote. Who wants to go for option one? All right, who wants to go for option two? Who's still deciding? Let's see, is there any undecideds in the room? Well, I made an assumption that we were going to go with option two. So I want to share with you how you can prepare yourself so that when these challenges come, you have the ability to pivot and shift and overcome. And this was probably 2012, 2013. I'm looking at Nikki because, hey, Nikki was here for this too. Me and Nikki been rocking for a minute. Again, flew out to San Diego. I was headed out there to attend an event, and I was also going to be speaking at an event. And I flew in. I was in the DC area. I flew in, got there a little late, went to the hotel, laid down, went to sleep. Coming from the East Coast, of course, I woke up pretty early, right? Probably about 4:30 in the morning. And when I woke up, I sat up. And when I sat up, I was like, ooh. I felt a little pain. And I was like, well, maybe let me just lay down for a minute, maybe something, I don't know. Laid back down for maybe 15 minutes, got back up, sat back up, felt another pain. And then I was like, is it the left arm or right arm supposed to be tingling? Like, what is going on? And I was like, oh, I wonder if, when you put your overhead luggage up, did I pull a muscle? Did I stretch something wrong? And so again, I was like, I got some time. It's only going on 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna lay down, rest a little bit. Got up about 30 minutes later. It was worse. Something was absolutely going on. And I knew I had to do something and probably do something really fast. And so what do you think I did? What'd you say? Call 911. Nope, I went on Google. And I was like, what is pain when you chest, when you sit up? I did. I went to Google. And if you click enough buttons when you're trying to figure out what's wrong, what ultimately comes up? Cancer. And so I was like, this is not helpful at all. At all. And so I actually laid there probably about another hour. So probably about going on 7 o'clock or so. I was like, well, let me just get up. When I got up, I could not stand up. And so at this point, I was like, something is really wrong. You would think I would call 911. But I did decide that I probably needed to get to a hospital. So I put on some clothes. I went on down to the lobby. And I was like, can you give me a cab? I need to get to a hospital. And the person at the front desk was like, oh my God. And they was like, well, it's always cabs out front. He's like, do you need help? How many of you refuse to ask for help? It is one of the biggest detriments that entrepreneurs have. They will not ask for help when they need it. Do you need help? Was exactly his words. No, I got it. I'm good. Got in a cab, and I was like, I need to get to a hospital right away. And the cab was like, oh my gosh. Okay, he's like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's go. So I'm riding in the car on my way to the hospital, and I'm like, I probably need to make some phone calls. Who do you think was the first person I called? My husband. Wrong. Actually, my background is HR. Who do you think I called? My insurance company. I am out of network. I gotta figure out what is happening. I am way out of network. And so they were like, ma'am, just get to the hospital. Just get to the emergency room. And so I get to the hospital, and I text my husband because my husband was actually out of the country. He was in Kenya. So I get to the hospital. Of course, when you come in with chest pains, you don't wait. They took me to the back. They did an EKG. They said, you're not having a heart attack. We got to figure out what's going on. They put me in the bed, put me back in the bed. So while I'm waiting, did I text you, Nikki? I texted Nikki, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. I don't know what's going on. She's like, do you want me to come up there? I'm like, let me figure it out. I'll call you back. And so they come in, and they're like, we're going to start with just giving you some fluids. So they put an IV in my arm. The nurse puts the IV in, walks away. About 2 minutes later, I start to feel really nauseous. Like, oh, I think I need to throw up. And so I call the nurse, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good. I feel a little nauseous. And he was like, oh, when you see an IV go in, sometimes people get a little queasy. I'm like, no, that's not it. I don't know, I feel like I want to throw up. He brings me a pan, and then he looks up. So if you've ever been in a hospital, or if you've ever visited someone in a hospital, when you're in the hospital bed, what's behind you? The monitors. So he looks up, and he's like, and he was like, one moment. And then I heard him call for another EKG machine. And then he said that word that I thought they only say on television. He was like, stat. And so they came over, and they hooked me up. And while they were hooking me up, I started to feel warm, nauseous and warm. And I was like, something's not right. Then he looks at the monitor. They call another doctor in. They call two more doctors in. And then they're like, we got to get a scan. So they bring in another machine, and they're running a scan over my chest. Now, while they are running the scan, 6 more people show up. Who do you think those 6 people were? They were the interns. It was a teaching hospital. Do you know why they bring interns over to situations like this? They think something spectacular is about to happen that they can learn from. And so I am getting warmer and warmer. I'm getting hazier and hazier. I feel myself about to pass out. And I literally tell myself, if I close my eyes, they will not reopen. And I am just like breathing, and I'm looking at the doctor, and I'm going, you gotta help me, you gotta help me, you gotta help me. And he comes over, and he starts rubbing my arm. He's like, we're here, we're here. And then he says, if you stop breathing, do you want us to revive you? Yes! 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 They were like, if your heart, you stop breathing, you want us to incubate. And I was like, yes. And then I heard someone say, I see it, I got it. And they were like, get, whatever they call for whatever medicine. Somebody ran in, and somebody was looking at the scan monitor, and they were like, tell me when, tell me when, tell me when. And finally that tech said now. And that nurse, doctor put something in my IV, and I was so hot, it felt like I could feel it going through every vein in my body. And when they put that injection in, nobody moved. It was probably about 10 people at this time. All of their eyes were where? On the monitors. My heart rate had dropped, my blood pressure it was a mess. And for about 10 seconds, nobody said anything. And then there was a collective sigh. And it was one of those things, it was like, oh, but that's over. The interns was like, bye. The doctors left, the room cleared out. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the doctor came over and he's like, we don't know what just happened, but we're gonna figure it out, and we believe that you're good for now. And so after about 20 minutes, I started to feel a lot better. They took me up, checked me in, put me in a room, and at this point, I think Nikki had probably followed up a couple of times. Other people in community I was out there to see had followed up a couple of times, and they were like, we have to know that you're okay. So I did this. I was like, I'm okay, I'm okay. And Nikki was like, well, I'm gonna be up there in a little bit. And I was like, that's fine, come on up. And so when it was all said and done, what it turned out to be was acute pericarditis. And it rarely happens to people who are at my age at the time, but it was a situation that impacted the heart. But it was very interesting because of how pericarditis operates. And so with this diagnosis and with this experience, it actually helped me to understand how to overcome barriers. So the first thing I learned from all that time I spent Googling, laying back down, not calling 911, the truth was, when I got to the hospital, until the moment they put that in my arm was less than 20 minutes. So if I had waited another 2 minutes, another 5 minutes. And the truth is, when we have an emergency, we gotta get help, and we gotta get help now. And we gotta get the right help. Some of your businesses are bleeding. Some of your businesses are in cardiac arrest. Some of your businesses have been stagnant. Some of your businesses have not hit the goals and targets that you've wanted to hit. And you keep getting help, but it's not the right help. That's why TSP is so powerful, because it's the right answer. Lamar never pretends to know everything about all things. That's why he has experts. That's why he has coaches. That's why Ronnie does stuff. If you're not getting the right help, even though you're getting help, it doesn't mean that it will give you the cure. And so you have got to decide right now, for where you are in your business, what is the right help? Because any delay could cost you your business. Just like a little bit more of a delay could have cost me my life. The second thing I learned was that acute pericarditis is actually not a condition of the heart, it's a condition of what surrounds your heart. My heart was perfectly fine. That's why the EKG was fine. That's why I wasn't having a heart attack. It was a viral incident that happened around the heart. And so who have you surrounded yourself with? Because the heart of your business might be okay. But if you have surrounded yourself with people who don't know how to think big, with people who don't celebrate you, with people who don't understand the vision and the impact that you want to have, and these are the people that you start to listen to. And so where are your right people? Now, I would venture to say that your right people are where? Right here. This is it. I say this all the time. If you are a black entrepreneur and you are not in a part of TSP, you are doing your business and your community a disservice. Period. And so if you have not surrounded yourself with the right people, you're subject to still lose everything. And then the third thing I learned about overcoming barriers was that when they discharged me, they gave me a set of instructions. We need you to get these medicines, and then we need you to take these medicines as prescribed. We need you to see a cardiologist so that he can reevaluate our scans, do some additional scans to make sure that your acute pericarditis has healed. And so one of the things that we do to self-sabotage ourselves is that we don't follow the prescription. When, I don't think she's in here, when Ashley Kirkwood came into the mastermind, and she was just on fire. She was an executor. She was getting stuff done, launching, doing all the things. And she would share in the private mastermind group, this was our launch, these were the numbers, this is what we spent, this is what we made, these was what we did right, this is what we can do better. I mean, she was on fire. But there were other people in the mastermind that were like, wow, Ashley, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, tell me, how did you do that? And it's like, you in the same portal I'm in, right? You on the same Q&A calls that I'm on, right? And she literally said, I just watched the master classes that Lamar taught, and I followed the prescription. How many of you currently have a prescription that you have refused to fill, and if you filled it, you have refused to take as prescribed? This is what's wrong with most businesses. You come with the ailment, we give you the prescription, and then you choose not to fill it, and you choose not to take it as prescribed. And so I ultimately want to challenge you today. I want to challenge you to make the decision. Make the decision that you will surround yourself with getting the right help. Not help that might be cheaper, not help from someone who hasn't done it before, and not help from people who are doing less than you because it makes you feel better about where you are, but the help from the right people. And then I want you to surround yourself with the right community. I want you to look around and say, is this a group of people that can dream big with me? Is this a group of people who will let me have my moment of pity, but then help me strategically get back up and thrive? And then finally, I want you to get the prescription filled and take as prescribed. Because when you make that decision today, then you will figure out what you need to do to pivot, what you need to do to make the adjustment, what you need to do to change, so that you can overcome whatever barrier you are facing, and you can not only survive that thing, but you can then thrive. So can we make that promise to yourself today? That's the decision. This is how you break through barriers and move from setbacks to success. I am Doreen Rainey. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and go out and thrive.